14th October, 1970. The mother takes up a few extracts from Savitri that are to be set to music. A little point reveal the infinitudes. It's interesting. 24th October, 1970. The mother translates a few fragments from Savitri, which were chosen for her. A miracle of the Absolute was born. Infinity put on a finite soul. All ocean lived within a wandering drop. A time-made body housed the illimitable. To live this mystery out, our souls came here. A figure, soul on nature's giant stair, he mounted towards an indiscernible end on the bare summit of created things. That's really good. It's a pity it was cut into small bits. 28th October, 1970. The mother tries to read with difficulty a few lines from Savitri, written in large characters. These passages are meant to be set to music. At times I read very clearly, and at other times, there, walled apart by its own innerness, in a mystical barrage of dynamic light, he saw a lone, immense, high-curved world pile, erect like a mountain chariot of the gods, motionless under an inscrutable sky. Once, in the vigil of a deathless gaze, these grades had marked her giant downward plunge, the wide and prone leap of a Godhead's fall. Our life is a holocaust of the Supreme. The great World Mother, by her sacrifice, has made her soul the body of our state. The body of our state, of our human state, the mother repeats. She has made her soul the body of our state. So I had better try and read it out. 31 October 1970. The mother tries to read with difficulty a few lines from Savitri, specially written for her in large characters. It's a curious phenomenon. It's F who writes this, and she doesn't understand well. For her it's just words, and I can't read. 21st November 1970. The mother translates a few extracts from Savitri, listens to half of the 10th chapter of Supermanhood, and remains absorbed most of the time. It goes on inside. 28th November 1970. The mother translates a few passages from Savitri, including this one. It lends beauty to the terror of the gulfs, and fascinating eyes to perilous gods, invests with grace the demon and the snake. It's charming. That's exactly the nature of the vital, what Theon called the nervous world. 2nd December 1970. The mother translates a few fragments of Savitri. This mire must harbor the orchid and the rose. From her blind, unwilling substance must emerge a beauty that belongs to happier spheres. 6th October 1971. Yes, it's best to take the life divine. Or Savitri? Your translation of Savitri? Oh, that! It would take a poet to do that. You're speaking of my translation? It's worthless. But I've done very little of it. Well, you would have to complete it. Laughter. Did I do the end? A little at the beginning, and then the end. I don't see anymore. So I should go back to it then. The life divine will take how many years? 11th December, 1971. But if this new consciousness is not to be found on the peaks of the human, where then are we to find it? Perhaps, quite simply, in that which we have most neglected since we entered the mental cycle, in the body. The body is our base, our evolutionary foundation, the old stock to which we always return, and which painfully compels our attention by making us suffer, age, and die. In that imperfection, Sri Aurobindo assures us, is the urge towards a higher and more many-sided perfection. It contains the last finite, which yet yearns to the supreme infinite. God is pent in the mire, but the very fact imposes a necessity to break through that prison. That is the old uncured illness, the unchanged root, the dark matrix of our misery, hardly different now from what it was in the time of Lemuria. It is this physical substance which we must transform. Otherwise it will topple, one after another, all the human or superhuman devices we try to graft on it. This body, this physical cellular substance, contains almighty powers, quotes, a dumb consciousness that harbors all the lights and all the infinitudes just as much as the mental and spiritual immensities do. For in truth, all is divine, and unless the Lord of all the universe resides in a single little cell, he resides nowhere. It is this original, dark, cellular prison which we must break open, for as long as we have not broken it, we will continue to turn vainly in the golden or iron circles of our mental prison. These laws of nature, says Sri Aurobindo, that you call absolute, merely means an equilibrium established to work in order to produce certain results. But if you change the consciousness, then the groove also is bound to change. A.B. Purani, Evening Talks, page 92. 8th April, 1972. Text from Sri Aurobindo for the message of April 24th. He comes unseen into our darker parts, and, curtained by the darkness, does his work. A subtle and all-knowing guest and guide, till they too feel the need and will to change. All here must learn to obey a higher law. Our body's cells must hold the immortal's flame. That's excellent. 9th May, 1973. I am eating less and less, so I am constantly uncomfortable and so weak. That day, I felt that the movement was going to accelerate, and a time would come when a radically different way would have to be found. Perhaps the supreme pressure of death is necessary to release the almighty powers shut in nature's cells that Sri Aurobindo mentions in Savitri. As though the supreme power could only be released by the supreme contradiction of power. And death shall reveal its mask of immortality. 19th May, 1973. I was thinking about something Sri Aurobindo wrote. In Savitri, he says clearly, almighty powers are shut in nature's cells. In nature's cells. Oh, that is interesting. Almighty powers. He doesn't say anything else. No, not on that subject. The consciousness of the cells seems to be awakened, but not the power. The mother did not hear well. You said the consciousness of the cells is missing? No. The consciousness is there. The consciousness of the cells is awakened, but the power isn't. You said awakened. Yes, Mother. Because had the power been awakened, there wouldn't be any weakness in your body. No. But it is there. Sri Aurobindo clearly says it clearly, but it is there. Sri Aurobindo says it clearly. It is there, inside, within the very cells. Yes, there's no need to seek elsewhere. But how to awaken it? Through faith, our faith. If one knows that and has trust, but you see, my physical body is deteriorating very rapidly. That could stop it from deteriorating? It's a note. This is a compilation of the Mother's revelations about Savitri, taken from various sources. Some editing has been made at places for keeping only the relevant parts together. For details, please go to the original sources of the Mother's words as per the dates.